Welcome to the Mind for Success podcast, a space for heart-centered entrepreneurs to live in deep alignment with what matters most, overcome subconscious limitations, and shift their energy into an unstoppable force. Before we get started, take a deep breath, hit the subscribe button, and enjoy the show. Welcome to the Mind for Success podcast. My name is Kimberly Lebbing. I am your host. And today we're going to talk about the essence of decision making. I decided to do a podcast on this because there are so many entrepreneurs, business owners that I know that are making decisions out of things that have happened in the past, out of a subconscious filter that's not in alignment with what they want to do, with the vision that they want to create, with their goals. I'm going to help you by giving you 3 tips to make decisions that are in more alignment with the goals and the life that you want to create. So let's talk about the filters first. So when we're at a very, very, very young age, we create these subconscious filters. They're not good or bad. There's no right or wrong about them. They just are what they are. Sometimes these filters can be from the most minor thing, like maybe you fell down the stairs when you were 2 and your parents reacted in a way that made you fear heights. And maybe today you think twice before you go skydiving. That's an extreme example. But there's other more subtle ways that can show up. It could have shown up by, some event that happened between your parents. It could be something that happened on the playground. I mean, it could be something that happened with a sibling, not always bad, but some kind of event that your subconscious mind took in and said, if this happens, then I must do this. And ultimately it wants to protect it wants to protect you. That's the goal of your subconscious mind, is protect you at all cost. And that is why we end up staying in this comfort zone stage. And we don't always move out of that because our subconscious mind is literally trying to keep us safe. So one of the things that happens in that is that filter that you developed at usually before the age of 7, and there's a lot more in that. I've got some other videos and podcasts content on this, on how, this can even be generational. Like it can be, there's so many other things that play into this. These subconscious filters are how you make your decisions. They are where your behaviors come from. So decision making can get really tricky when you're dealing with a filter of, let's say, people pleasing, or you're dealing with a filter of, I'm not good enough, for instance. Just this past week was working with a client who had that filter of, I'm not good enough. It came from something that happened a long time ago with an adoption and things from his past that he had thought he had worked through, yet it was affecting the business that he has today. It was affecting how he was interacting with clients. It was affecting his ability to hire and build the team that he wanted to build. A lot of times, we go through, there's these filters in place, and we're not making the decisions that are really, really in alignment with us, that will really, really help us move our businesses forward in the direction that we want. Because what we're doing instead is we're people pleasing, or we're making decisions out of this not enoughness, or there's so many things that go into play here. And it can slow us down in our progress, what we want to create. So what I like to let people know, even if they're just on a call with me and we're just exploring whether or not we want to work together, is I really want them to get clear on what it is that they really want to create. Because if you're not clear about what you really want and everything is going through these other filters of I'm not good enough, or I don't trust people, or people pleasing, or a million different filters that we create, or maybe more. There's 50,000 thoughts a day that go through your mind. So there's a lot of filters that are created here. What I want the business owners and entrepreneurs that I work with and beyond, if you follow me, thank you, first of all. But what I want you to do is to really think about what it is that you really want and make that heart-centered decision. I can't tell you how many times I've talked to business owners that have said they made a wrong decision, but really, there's not really wrong. You either learned or you got to move on, but there's not really a wrong decision. Maybe it was an experience that taught you something. Maybe it was a lesson you needed to learn, but there's not really a wrong. But when I talk to people and I hear them say that they made the wrong decision, or I wish I wouldn't have done this, or I wish I wouldn't have done that, many times, and I've done this myself, I knew in my gut is the best way I can describe it, what the right decision for me at that time was. And then I ignored it. Why did I ignore it? Well, those filters started popping in my head, or maybe this is you. Those filters start popping in. And maybe the deeper reason for the filter for you to go through this cycle of decision making is, and not following your gut, is because you start to people please. You start to, oh gosh, I can't trust people. You start doing all these things. And then you go into this action of, instead of trusting your gut, you go into, oh, well, maybe I need to research this more. Oh, well, maybe I need to check with, my friends in the community about what they are doing. Maybe I need to wait. Maybe I need to wait, because maybe if I wait to do this, then things will get better. And I'm not saying any of these things are wrong, but most of the time, these things that get us sidetracked from what we really want, or what we feel like we really, really need, ends up being because we're making that decision out of that filter, and we're completely ignoring what we know to be true. And I know for myself, times where I've done this, and I now see, or when I went back, kind of hindsight is 2020, right? Went back and thought, oh, wow, I really went off in a direction that I wish I wouldn't have gone off in. And when I really, really check in with myself, I knew at the very beginning, I knew that that wasn't the right decision for me. And I did it anyway. And I did it anyway because I got all up in my head. When we get all up in our head, that's usually what makes us make decisions that aren't truly for us, because in reality, our decisions need to be made from the heart, not the head. And I mean that in a different way than, there's people that make decisions that are emotional. There is that. But usually when they talk about emotional decisions, they're talking about they're in a heightened emotional state. They're not calm. They're doing something basically for some other reason. So it's not really a gut feeling. It's more about how alleviating something or some other reason that's not really in true alignment with who they are. That's different. What I mean is when you know what you know, and you've got that gut feeling and you ignore it, that's when we end up getting derailed. And then we go back and look and think, gosh, if I would have just followed my gut on this, I could have saved so much time, or fill in the blank. But also, I will say, and though, you also maybe needed to learn that lesson. Maybe you needed to learn. I know for me, I needed to learn that I could trust myself. That was a very, very big thing for me. And I have a whole podcast on that as well, on when I decided to start trusting myself in my business. So now I want to get to the 3 you can do to help you make sure that you are making decisions that are in alignment with you and your goals. The very first thing is get clear on the patterns that you have, those subconscious patterns. If you are making those emotional kind of decisions that I mentioned earlier, that's probably out of something from the past. So get clear and be real with yourself about, is there something like that that's showing up? And if it is, work on that. The second thing is get really clear on what your vision and what your goals are. Literally sit down, visualize what that thing is. Like, where do you want to be in a year? Where do you want to be in 3 years? Where do you want to be in 5 years? And when a decision comes in that you need to make, think about, does that align with that vision that I have? Does it align with that? Or am I doing something else instead, which may identify a pattern? So 1 and 2 can kind of be, interchanged, because sometimes when we are saying yes to things, here goes into the people pleasing. When we say yes to things that don't really align with our goals, that's a sign that there's something deeper that's going on, and that you may need some help deconstructing what those subconscious patterns are, and literally making new ones, making new neural pathways. That's something that I do with my clients. Okay. And then the third part is actually really, really, really easy. When you're making a decision, take a deep breath, pause, take a deep breath. Stop with the chatter of, oh, I've got this, and this. Stop yourself from talking to yourself or to whoever, and pause. Take a deep breath and check in with yourself. Is this something that really is aligned with you? Is it something that you really want? And if you have someone on the other end and they're waiting or expecting an answer, it is totally okay in most cases to say, you know what, let me get back to you on that. And give yourself a moment, especially in the beginning parts of this, give yourself a moment to pause and breathe, so that you can be sure that you are making an aligned decision that aligns with your vision, aligns with your goals. The free download that I have is called Unlocking Your Authentic Self. I'll have a link in the description. And it is 3 steps to help you identify and overcome hidden limitations in your life, in your business, so that you can realize your highest potential. I hope you find this helpful, and I will see you on the next video. Thank you so much for listening today. Thank you for listening today. I want to invite you to download my free guide at resources.kimberlylebbing.com/unlock. It's called Unlocking Your Authentic Self: 5 Key Steps to Identify and Overcome Hidden Limitations in Your Life and Business and Realize Your Highest Potential. Thank you again for listening today.